More bullpen woes. Twins lose their third in a row tonight versus San Diego. We're breaking it all down next on the Locked On Twins postcast.
You are Locked On Twins postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man right there, CJ Baumgartner. Give him a follow. He's on X, at BaumCJ30, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. CJ, have you ever seen a team more desperate for a day off in your life? My goodness.
I mean, not in a long time. This is one where we talked about the grind of this August and what it was going to be, and we're in the middle of it right now, watching this Twins team go through it. I mean, they look like they could use an off day really, really bad, and if they can somehow manage to salvage the series tomorrow and just get to Thursday, I mean, that's just going to be a huge win for them.
Yeah, well said. All right, before we jump into all the action, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code, this is all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, so game 2 versus San Diego, game 6 out of 7 in a row on the road. Again, just echoing the common theme here for the night. This team desperately just needs a night off here soon. That can't come soon enough. That's on Thursday. Bailey Ober on the mound. Pretty fantastic per usual through 6 innings. Twins had a 3-1 lead. And then 7th inning, Manny Machado hits a 2-run bomb. That ties it up. Vasquez, though, comes right back. Top 8, puts them up 2. He's been so money, by the way, for them the last 4 or 5 weeks or so. Bottom 8, you're up 2. You're feeling pretty good. Steven Okert comes out. Don't blink. Don't go to the bathroom. He gives up 4 hits, 4 runs in the blink of an eye, just like that. It's kind of the Jorge Alca deja vu all over again from Sunday night. That's your final, 7-5. That's your final, 3rd loss in a row. Twins dropped to 70-56. And again, they got 1 more game left on this West Coast road trip. Just start with your kind of biggest takeaways, kind of your A topics. Then we'll do a little deep dive on Bailey Ober next as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Padres are the hottest team in baseball for a reason, and they just find ways to win. They just come up with the timely hits. They find the rallies when they need to, and that's what happened tonight. And the Twins bullpen implosion is once again the story of the game, and just the fact that they've been overused. And outside of that, they're an overused group that has been one of the worst in baseball, if not the worst bullpen since the All-Star break. It's a unit that, you know, has some top-tier talent with Jax, who was good tonight, and then you have Duran, and you have, you know, Alcala pitched bad on Sunday, but overall has had a good season. But, you know, outside of a couple of those top guys, it's really unraveling, and it's just kind of been exacerbated, and this has just kind of been the cherry on top of that argument.
Speaking of finding ways to win, did you watch any of the Cleveland game, by the way? Just sticking more salt in the wounds here. 12 innings with the New York Yankees. So many opportunities for the Yankees. And you can say the same for Cleveland as well. But so many times throughout that game, especially those last 3-4 innings, felt like the Yankees were just so close to putting them away. Not the case. Cleveland wins that one. Did you see any of that one at all? Because that was kind of entertaining as well.
I saw it was 3-3 for the longest time, 3-3, 3-3. And I was like, okay, like somebody's got to score at some point. And I said the wrong thing because Cleveland dropped 6 runs in extras. And typically that happens in those extra inning games. When the wheels fall off, they fall off. And yeah, of course, the Yankees, known to just beat the Twins into submission when they play them. And then they play another AL Central team. It's like, come on, Yankees, I'll cheer for you this one night. And they say, no, we'll give this one to the Guardians.
Such a joke, man. Again, Twins, they just need this day off, it feels like. You can go all the way back to the 4-game series with Cleveland. I mean, that felt like at the time, like we were watching October baseball. And then 3 with Kansas City, which that was just as tough. Then 7 in a row on the road as we speak. You can just feel it when you're watching them, sitting down watching these guys emotionally, physically, mentally. They're just shot. Thursday can't come soon enough. Bailey Ober, 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned, no walks, 5 Ks, 83 pitches. It was pretty much just your typical flawless Bailey Ober through 6 innings. Think he had 72 pitches going into the 7th. So I thought it was kind of a no-brainer to, give him one more shot for that 7th inning. Why not? Put him out there. Then he gives up that 2-run bomb to Manny Machado. That ties things up. And you're just sitting there thinking, are you kidding me, man? Come on, seriously? Like, still only 3 runs, 3 earned runs at the end of the night. Not the end of the world, but just kind of a sour note to end on for him. What'd you think of Bailey Ober's night tonight?
I mean, I thought overall, once again, it's he keeps that quality start streak alive, gets 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less, keeps that running. And overall, I think if you said Bailey Ober pitches into the 7th, gives up 3 runs, I think you take that, 8 times out of 10. Like, you take it almost every time. It was a really good start for Bailey Ober, and through 6 innings, it was really good. He had the changeup working. Padres were just begging for up until that 7th inning to get to the bullpen. But I mean, that's the thing of why, once you get to the lineup a 3rd time through, especially a lineup as dangerous as the Padres, you run the risk of just them being able to time up some of your pitches. He's get a little fatigued, going to leave one over the plate, which is what happened to Manny Machado. And look, I don't blame Rocco for leaving him out there. I think he almost had to. We talk about the bullpen being as bad as it is. He's like, I need an extra inning out of you. I need you to be able to get me a few more outs and make it easier on my bullpen. And, he gave up the bloop and the blast right away. And he had to be, not only did he give up the lead, but he also didn't make it go in and get all 3 outs. It's unfortunate. I think I would do that call if I was Rocco 10 times out of 10. Ober just ran out of gas. Sometimes that happens. Alcala 2 nights ago, now Steven Okert tonight. I mean, everybody knew the bullpen was going to be like this major atopic liability and kind of major issue if they ended up kind of faltering. And so far, the past few games, things have been leaky at best. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Is it just like it is what it is kind of situation? I mean, you got these 2 studs in the back end, right? Jax, Duran, and then with everyone else, it's just kind of a spray and pray situation. Like, this is why you need Correa and Buxton and the whole band back together, because you might just have to start winning games 8-7 every night now, or what's the kind of mindset and vibe with this bullpen and just the situation back there right now? Yeah, coming into the season, is rejected by Baumgartner, one of the best bullpens in baseball. The first half, they were a really strong unit and were very important to what the Twins were doing. A couple of those guys regressed back to the mean. You have some injuries, the Twins. I mean, Justin Topa, probably not going to see him this year. At least it feels like, based on just the vibe around him not quite ever being healthy. Cody Funderburk goes down. Caleb Thielbar takes a step back. I think it's just one of those years where everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I mean, Duran missed the first month of the season outside of Griffin Jax just being consistently good. It's just been a tough pill to swallow. And Alcala having a general good season and a breakout season for him outside of that appearance on Sunday. It's been a unit that's just seen a lot. The saving grace is that once you get towards the playoffs, theoretically you can move Chris Paddock to the bullpen. Theoretically you can move somebody like Louis Varland, some of those back end starters like a Festa or whoever, Zebby Matthews can kind of work to be long relief guys once you get to the postseason, but you're still going to need high leverage guys. And with Duran, Jax, and maybe Alcala, those are your 3 guys. Now, the benefit of the playoffs is you get a little more off time. There's not as, you're not playing 7 games in 7 days like the Twins are having to do, but still, it's outside of their top 2 guys. There's just a lot of question marks.
And trying to just find the glass half full here. Griffin Jax, man, what a stud. Dude, is there a case Griffin Jax is actually like their number 1 closer and not Duran? Like, where is he in the MLB reliever power rankings, if you will? Top 5, top 3 even? Where's Griffin Jax? Because I know he's got to be up there.
I mean, he's up there. Top 3 might be a little extreme. Emmanuel Clase takes that spot. There's a couple other guys who are up there who are pretty darn good. But, I mean, yeah, Griffin Jax, if you're looking at primary setup men, he's one of the best in baseball. Like, he is, if you look at 8th inning guys, people who are going to come in and, 7th inning, 2 runners on, 1 out, whatever. He's the guy, and I think he's top in that top 5-ish range, really. And again, failed starter. Twins moved him into the bullpen and just said, hey, man, go max effort for 1 inning. And he's been able to find his stuff and figure it out. And it's been really huge for this bullpen, especially this season, because Duran has been good, but not the peak Duran that we've seen this season. So I'd say in terms of this season, Griffin Jax has definitely been more productive than Duran, but Duran still has that higher ceiling, and you still feel like you want to give him the ball in the 9th inning, but it's not that far away though.
Bottom line, what are the vibes of this team right now? Because it's like, on one hand, man, you've been chasing Cleveland literally all year. You can't seem to ever get everyone healthy for even like a 2-week stretch. It always feels like the sky's kind of falling in some degree or fashion. But at the same time, it's like you pull up the standings. Even after losing 3 in a row, you're 14 games above 500. They're well over their pace to hit their over-under win total preseason. That was 85.5 games. Like, this is actually a really good team. Maybe the best team since 2019, the Bomba Squad. But maybe just as Minnesota sports fans, we're just, kind of hardwired for expecting the worst at all times. Is that what it is? Like, what are the vibes right now, bottom line, of the Minnesota Twins?
Right. And I mean, the vibes weren't great a lot last year, and the team ended up winning the division. I mean, they only won 89 games, and that's why the vibes felt off. And this year, I mean, this year's team would have already clinched the AL Central by this point in the season. I mean, like, last year's division was bad, and now this year's is good. And I think it's the fact of not only the Guardians right above you, but the Royals are tied with you in the standings and for that second wild card spot. But I mean, you're right. The vibes feel off because on Saturday night, they were great. Like, the team won 3 in a row. They came off a series win in Kansas City. They were 2 games back at Cleveland. Like, it was there. But yeah, it's felt like since the 7th inning on of Sunday afternoon, the vibes have just been off. And I think it's really just due to the bullpen running out of gas. But I mean, perspective, like you just mentioned, is that they're in the playoff race. And even if the Royals pass them right now for that 3rd wildcard spot, they're still going to be a playoff team. The Red Sox won today, so they're like 3.5 games out. You still have a comfortable, but not super big lead. But again, this team is set to be in the playoffs. They're set for 90-plus wins. Like, this is a good team that's just in a bit of a slump right now. And we talked about how the we're just in the middle of that tough stretch right now. So again, we'll see in a week when the Twins get through the Cardinals and the Braves, and then they play the Blue Jays, and then things kind of start to turn around come September, but that's still another week and a half away. But I mean, overall, vibes, not great, but big picture, everything's going to be fine. They're still on pace to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you get that day off Thursday, and then you got 9 in a row at home in the backyard at Target Field. And I know that the opponents aren't necessarily a cakewalk by any means, but still, just to have 9 games in a row at home, man, that's going to be nice. But to your point, like, you're right. Like, I don't know whether to sit here and have this mindset of, man, the luck's going to run out eventually here, or, if they can just get guys like Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton back for this final stretch, these last 35 games or so, they could actually do some serious damage come playoff time. I don't know. Maybe both things are true. I don't know. Rocco report time, game 2 versus the Padres. The Rocco report, it says what?
Well, it's interesting because Duran didn't make an appearance in this game at all, nor did Jorge Alcala. And I know some people say, well, Alcala had a blow-up outing on Sunday. Why would you want to throw him right back in there? Rocco typically does. He's a guy that likes to, if a reliever has a bad outing, just bring him back out there and say, hey, prove that wrong, prove that last time out wrong, go kind of get right, whatever. That might be more to the fact that Alcala and Duran have just thrown a lot. I mean, prior to Sunday, Alcala threw like almost all 4 games in the Texas series. So I think it just might have been the quote unquote scheduled off day. And it might have been that for Duran as well. And obviously Rocco will probably mention that in his post-game presser. That's probably happening right now. But I think it was fascinating that Duran wasn't used or warmed up or whatever. Now they were ahead and maybe didn't have that lead. So that's why you wouldn't use him. But that Rocco should have did this or that in the bullpen. I mean, everybody, like we talked about, this unit's just kind of falling apart. I don't think that there's really any option he could have went with. The Padres are the hottest team in baseball. I think they're just winning that game. And it's frustrating that you don't have some of those bullpen guys like Atopa, like Thielbar being at his best, like Funderburk being able to pitch some innings for you. Overall, it's, I thought he had a good move pinch hitting Vasquez, by the way. Wallner, I was like, I would have been willing to give Wallner the benefit of the doubt to hit. Vasquez has the hot bat. He came in, got the 2-run single. So it's a mixed bag on the Rocco report. Overall, in terms of the pinch hitting, great. In terms of the bullpen moves, a little to be desired.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I really do. Plenty more deep dive from this one, plus nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, this episode, it's brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, they got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back with all the parts you need at the prices you want. Easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Okay, so we saw Tyler Mahle the other night, by the way, and it got me thinking, how's other former Twins look this year? Guys like, Sonny Gray, kind of forefront of my mind, but also the Jorge Polanco's, Kenta Maedas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How has the former bandmates, let's put it that way, been away from Minnesota in 2024?
Well, Sonny Gray is one who came off and had a really good start to the season, and overall has pitched well, but it's kind of not fallen off a cliff. That's a little too extreme, but it's kind of come back down to earth a little bit. Currently with an ERA of 3.91. Last year he had an ERA of like 3. So to have it be a full run more suggests some regression. I mean, just the fact of last year, he only gave like 5 home runs. He was just going to give up more. So overall, he's having a good, but not great season with the Cardinals right now. Jorge Polanco has been, if you talk about a player that the Twins moved off of at the right time, looks like all those, injuries Polanco's been having are kind of catching up with him, and he's starting to fall apart a little bit. Yeah. And some of those other guys around baseball, I'm blanking on the last couple of guys you said, but overall, that's kind of been the landscape for that.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but I'm just thinking about 2025. The 2025 Twins outfield. What do you think it's going to look like? Quick snapshot, top of your head, knee-jerk reaction. If we assume Max Kepler ends up leaving in free agency, what's that 3-man core look like?
Well, Byron Buxton, obviously in center field. I think you see Matt Wallner take right field, and I think that left field spot is up for grabs more than anything. I know Trevor Larnach's had a nice season, not, star-studded, but has been competent this year. You could see him maybe take that left field spot. Alex Kirilloff is somebody in consideration. Austin Martin could be a name floated out there, but I think he's more of a super utility guy than anything. If the whole infield is healthy, Willie Castro could be your starting left fielder. I think that, again, health depending. You have Willie Castro in left, Byron Buxton in center, Matt Wallner in right is how I would drop the 2025 opening day outfield if it had to happen today.
I heard some people talking about, hey, if Byron Buxton misses a bunch of time, that the name Deshawn Kirby should be an option. Apparently, he's super fast. He's a legit defensively out in center field. Is that, or I guess, should that be an option if he continues to miss a bunch of time?
For this year, it's tough because, again, we talk about relying on rookies to try and fill the void in the pitching staff. And then they just have another big ask to have a guy come up, make his big league debut, and, hey, come contribute to this run. Like, not as like a side piece, but it's like, hey man, like you need to be one of the big contributors here. And I think that that's probably a little too much to ask, but I mean, in terms of next year, it's, I think, a fine option to have as a backup role. That being said, Willie Castro can play a little backup center field for you. So can Austin Martin. But, if Kersey's got a little more speed, a little bit better arm than Martin or Castro, I think that can definitely help. I think what's been fascinating about Deshawn Kirby is the fact that, teams really didn't, I believe, if I remember this right, the Twins had him Rule 5 eligible and no team took a flyer on him. So yeah, it depends on that big league viability and what his ceiling can be. Because if he's just another, rotational platoon player, Twins have plenty of guys like that are already up here. If you feel like his ceiling is higher than that, then he'll get a chance to prove that. But as of right now, he helps a little bit. Sure, of course. Also, he's not one of the high ceiling expected to come up and kind of be a game changer.
No, that's a good breakdown. That's good to know. I'll jot that down, keep that in the back of my mind. And speaking of Buxton, I know we kind of touch on this every few nights or so, but Ronald is curious. Any injury updates, probably referring to the big guys like Brooks Lee, Carlos Correa, etc.?
Yeah, they had a lot of injury updates during the Bally Sports broadcast. They were interviewing head trainer Nick Paparesta, and, it sounded like Carlos Correa is up and doing some baseball activity again and running around. Same thing with Byron Buxton. And really, just kind of with all three of those players, he made it sound like, hey, they're coming along. There's no setbacks, but also like they're all at Target Field and they're on the road currently. And once they fly back tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and then Thursday when they have that off day is really when we'll get a more clear picture on when things are coming up. But otherwise, other than that, it's a little murky still on some of those guys getting back. And I think once they get back for this homestand, we'll get an update and then have a much better idea.
Nerdy stat of the daytime. You got some sort of crazy stat or, fun analytic Twins related, locked and loaded, laid on us. What do you got tonight?
How about this for a fun one? When Willie Castro decided to bunt and end the inning, which again was a weird move for him to bunt at that point in the game. But when they went into the bottom of the 8th inning, the Twins had a win probability percentage of 84%. And that quickly fell. Donovan Solano singles, it goes down to 77%. Luis Arraez singles, that goes down to 65. And then the wheels fell off because Jurickson Profar hit the home run and immediately went to 87% for the Padres. Again, like you talked about, blink and you'll miss it. It went just a big swing just in 3 batters.
Not quite as bad as the Indianapolis Colts versus the Vikings when they're up 5 touchdowns. That had to be at like 99.9%. Not quite that bad, but yeah, you're right. Not great, especially if you're a Minnesota Twins fans like we all are. All right, don't go anywhere. We got to preview Game 3 versus the Padres. Plus, I want to take a quick peek at the playoff scenarios. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, obviously, in full swing. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code, all lowercase, LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, real quick, Game 3 tomorrow, trying to salvage this series, come away, hopefully not getting swept here, just win 1 on the West Coast, SWR on the mound. What's top 2 or 3 things you're looking for in that matchup we should, jot down, keep in the back of our minds?
I mean, the biggest thing is going to be start length again with Simeon Woods Richardson. The leash has been getting a little longer, a little bit of a combination of Rocco's got a little more trust in him and also the bullpen running on fumes, and you have other rookie pitchers, and it's like it or not, Rocco's going to have to give him a bit of a longer leash. So it'll be fascinating to see. Now, again, if he has a bad start, he could just get pulled early, but it'll be fascinating to see if he has a typical Simeon Woods Richardson start, what Rocco's leash will be for him. That's one thing to watch because, I mean, the Bailey Ober start, if you said you're only going to win 1 game in this series, which one is it? You'd most likely say, it's probably the Bailey Ober start. They lost that one. So it puts a lot of pressure on Simeon Woods Richardson to put the Twins in a position to try and salvage this series.
All right, last one real quick. Can we get an updated playoff standing / scenario? Like, let's say Twins can't catch up to Cleveland. I know Kansas City's kind of breathing down their neck. Boston not far behind. Where are we at right now as we sit here, on August 20th recording this? And also part two of this, what's the ideal matchup or two we do want to root for if we do have to go on the road in round one?
Yeah, and with Kansas City breathing down the Twins next, the good thing is that the Twins own the season tiebreaker over the Kansas City Royals. So even if the Twins finish tied with the Royals at the end of the season, they will be above them for the head-to-head regular season record. The Twins have the advantage in that. So that would help. So if the season ended today, the Twins would be the second wild card team. And if the season ended today, I believe it would mean that they'd be going to Camden Yards for a best 2 out of 3 series against the Baltimore Orioles in that 4-5 matchup. The Kansas City Royals would be going to Houston as the road team in a best 2 out of 3 against the Astros. And the Yankees and the Guardians won today, so I think they still have the best record in the American League. They'd have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They get that first round bye. So would the Yankees. And for the Twins, I want to say that you maybe want to get that second wild card or the third wild card spot rather, because you play the AL West winner and they're all not as good record wise as any of the teams in the AL Central or AL East competing teams. But also, every time anybody goes, I think we could take the Astros this year, they seem down. They always manage to end up in the ALCS anyways. So I don't know if that'd be my first crack at a team. Maybe Baltimore, because they're still not super playoff experienced. They looked, really out of sorts last year when the Rangers came through. Overall, it's going to be a tough wild card scene. Obviously, you don't want to go to Yankee Stadium for a best 2 out of 3 where you're all games on the road. That'd be like the worst case scenario for the Twins. I think best case scenario is going to Camden Yards and playing Baltimore. But that being said, the Twins went into Camden Yards and got swept earlier this season. So being the home team and trying to get either the top wildcard spot or winning the division and getting what would give you a first round bye is so imperative and it's why catching Cleveland is so important and why losing these last few games are so frustrating.
Yeah, well said there. Always fun talking Twins with you, win or lose. I know Twins dropped game 2 tonight. They've lost their third in a row now. Cleveland beats the Yankees in extra innings. Super annoying. Division lead. Now 3.5 games. We got game 3 tomorrow. Simeon Woods Richardson on the mound. First pitch, 5:40 p.m. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game right here, breaking it all down. Got to go check out all of CJ's work on Twitter. Give him a follow at BombCJ30, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. So close to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. And that'll do it for us. CJ Baumgartner, Luke Inman on X, at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.